rose petal during the night. So we're going to have to use another one, and we'll just adjust it a little bit. Alright, this is how the little rose dried, the watercolor rose that we painted. So I'm just going to remove some of the watercolor markings with a eraser. Sorry, not the watercolor markings, the pencil that I drew the little outline of the petal. And again, it's lovely and cloudy today, so it's a little bit dark, but that's fine. We can still see everything. And I think I'm going to use that plate. And cheers to a lovely cup of coffee. Good morning, everyone. It is Saturday today, and we are going to finish our little rose petal. I've already uploaded the previous one on YouTube for you. Oh, and I also wanted to paint this tiny little fig leaf, but as you can see, I found it yesterday in the garden, but unfortunately it is now a little bit dry. So I'm going to dry this one. I'm going to find one and dry it, and then just take photos of it, and then we can paint it next time. But let's get started. Okay, that was very hot, the coffee. So I'm going to go in with, again, the PY19, sorry, what is PV19? I can't read my own handwriting there, but it's the ruby red. So just going to, I want to darken some of these little sections here. It's a little bit dark, the color here, but we'll just blend it with my brush, and we'll see how it turns out. So I want to create those little indentation sections there, but I also want to follow the shape of the petal. So now I have to change it slightly because obviously the other one dried, and so the consistency is slightly thicker here than yesterday when we dropped in the other colors, the first layers of the rose petal. And I'm just going to wet my brush. I'm just going to wipe it here on this side of the book to remove some of the color, because I don't have a little tea towel or a cloth with me. But that's not a drain smash. I'll get some and just drop it on here. And quite happy with that. So oops, I nearly dipped that in my coffee. I never put my coffee on the right hand side because I always dip my brush in that coffee. Let's move that out the way. And then I also noticed there's a little bit of a darker section there with some yellow ochre, so I'm just going to try and map it in again, just tiny little dabs on the paper to create those little markings, and a little bit on the tip of the petal there. And I remember the one yesterday had a little like a tear in the petal, so I'm going to still darken that and keep it, even though we can't see that now because that one dried. But that's fine. And now we want to again, I'm just picking up some of the same color, and I want to create those little markings that I can see there. So it's a little bit dark, but you'll see I'm going to soften them now with some water on my brush, and then dab it on the paper there, so I don't mind because this is a practice piece, and soften it there. These colors normally dry much lighter, and I'm just gonna dab my brush over there because I still want some of those paper colors to shine through. And I'm going to leave that to dry for a second, and a little bit more of this ruby red and darken that little part there. And I'm going to soften it now. Just with my brush, I just dipped it in clean water and then wiped it on the paper and soften that as well. So I'm going to leave that to dry for a second completely because it's quite oops, someone's dropping something in the kitchen. Sorry for that. It's breakfast time, so I'm gonna go and make breakfast now, including Mr. T's food. But as you can see, the little rose petal is looking very good already, and we want to keep the color soft and translucent and just beautiful, and layer all of those markings there. We have to adjust it quite a lot now, but that's fine. So I'm going to leave that to dry completely and come back later and adjust a bit more color, and then you'll see it looks a lot more realistic. That alarm is to remind me each day that I have to give his hard tablet at 8 o'clock in the morning so that I don't forget, because I normally get distracted with a lot of things that I do and then I forget to give him his little tablet. A little bit more of that ruby red, and Yasmin, if you're watching this, she told me about this beautiful red, which is amazing. One of my friends on Instagram said to me, you always paint roses, always paint pink flowers, you should try this color, and it is absolutely beautiful. So I'm going to just dab that in a bit, so it's a little bit darker than the actual photo, but you'll see that it dries quite light. Watercolors dry quite light, and must say, even though it is a very cloudy day, the paint dries very quickly. So preferably if you're a beginner in watercolor, what you want to do is wait for your paper to dry completely before you move on to the next stage. That way you won't cause any weird watercolor muddiness, you won't ruin the tooth of your paper, because if the paper is wet and you keep on moving your brush over it, you might just disturb the paper, the tooth of the paper, the little fibers of the paper, if that's what you call it. And then I just want to drop in a little bit, so I'm going a little bit darker, and it will dry quite light. And I'm quite happy with this little quick petal study of mine. I think I'm done. We have a lot more flowers in the garden to paint, so I'm going to finish up now, go make breakfast for my baby, Mr. T, and I'm gonna have to edit. Oh, we're painting a shell this month on Patreon. Beautiful shell with a lot of pink and gorgeous colors as well, and we are going to have fun finishing that up. So if you want to join us there, you're welcome to. A lot of those videos won't necessarily be on YouTube, and then I just want to lift it up, so just move that color around a bit. Please remind me to put some tissue paper here. So I'm quite happy with my little petal, and you can see it's still a bit wet, but it already looks so different. Quite happy with it. Obviously you can put a little bit of a shadow. Let's see if we can, because normally in botanical art we don't paint a shadow, but let's do it for this one. So I'm just going to drop in a little watery mix here, just on the side. and make it look like a still life petal. There you go, a little bit more water, and I'll come back later to check if it's fine. That's it. These are the roses I'm painting at the moment, some of the petals. They are so beautiful. Look at that tiny little one there, right there. Look at that one there. They are so tiny and cute.